Defiance against the stars. The observation deck of Novaterra's orbital command station offered a breathtaking view of humanity's most distant colony. Commander Elena Vega stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the blue-green world slowly rotating below. 30 light-years from Earth, Novaterra represented humanity's furthest reach into the stars, a thriving colony of 3 million souls who had transformed a once barren world into a garden. "Commander," Lieutenant Raj Patel's voice broke the silence. "The unidentified vessels have dropped out of FTL. 17 ships, largest approximately 3 kilometers in length. They're on an approach vector." Elena didn't turn. Composition. Consistent with a military formation. 1 flagship, 6 cruiser-class vessels, and 10 smaller craft. They're not responding to hails on standard frequencies. Have they deployed weapons? Negative, but they've activated scanning beams across the entire colony. They're analyzing everything. Our defenses, population centers, resource deposits. Elena nodded slowly. Humanity had theorized about alien life for centuries, had prepared for this moment since the first colony ships left Earth. But preparation and reality were vastly different things. Alert Earth Command. Activate Protocol Archimedes, but maintain passive posture. Let's not appear threatening to our visitors. Protocol Archimedes. The name felt heavy in her mouth. The contingency developed for humanity's first contact with a technologically advanced species designed to protect Earth's location while assessing potential threats. "Commander," Raj's voice tensed. "They're broadcasting. They're using our communication protocols. They've learned our language." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a towering figure with iridescent scaled skin and 4 amber eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Ornate armor covered its torso, adorned with symbols that might have been military decorations. "Inhabitants of this world," the alien spoke, its voice processed through translation software, yet still carrying an unmistakable tone of authority. "I am High Commander Krav-Zur of the Sarkonian Empire. Your system has been claimed as property of the Empire. Prepare to receive our delegation to discuss terms of your integration." Elena stepped forward, squaring her shoulders. "This is Commander Elena Vega of the United Earth Colonial Forces. Novaterra is a sovereign human colony and not subject to claims by any outside power. We welcome peaceful contact, but reject any claim of ownership over our world or system." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Commander Vega, perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The Sarkonian Empire encompasses 27 star systems. Our technology and military capabilities far exceed anything your species possesses. Our scans indicate your defenses are minimal. Resistance would be inefficient." Murmurs spread across the command center. Elena kept her expression neutral. "High Commander, I propose a diplomatic exchange before any further actions are taken. We can arrange." "Your colony sits upon valuable neutronium deposits," Krav-Zur interrupted. "The Empire requires these resources. Your people may remain as authorized laborers under Imperial oversight. This is generous. Many species are simply relocated." Elena felt a cold anger rising in her chest. "And if we decline this generous offer?" The alien's mouth formed what might have been a smile, revealing rows of serrated teeth. "Then we will take what we need regardless. Your defenses consist of 8 orbital platforms and 36 atmospheric fighters. The Empire could reduce these to debris with a single volley." Behind her, Elena heard Colonial Defense Director Marcus Chen whisper, "They don't know about the Phantoms." Of course they didn't. The Phantom-class defense network remained in stealth configuration, undetectable by conventional scanning technology. 32 automated combat platforms and over 200 eye-piloted interceptors, hidden in plain sight. "You have 6 of your planetary rotations to prepare for our arrival," Krav-Zur continued. "I suggest you use this time wisely to prepare your leadership for transition." Elena stepped closer to the screen. "High Commander, I must warn you that appearances can be deceiving. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats throughout our history and survived. We didn't reach the stars by surrendering to bullies. For the first time, something like surprise flickered across the alien commander's face. Our scans are comprehensive, Commander Vega. Your civilization is barely interstellar. You possess no energy weapons, no phase technology, no gravitational manipulation. You travel between your colonies at sublight speeds. What possible threat could you pose to the Empire? Elena smiled, a cold, determined expression. If you force our hand, High Commander, you'll discover exactly what humanity is capable of when threatened. You may have conquered 27 systems because none of them fought back effectively. But humans, war is our specialty. Our history is written in conflict. You want Novaterra. Her voice dropped to a deadly calm. Then you'll get war like nothing your empire has ever experienced. Laughter erupted from the alien commander, echoed by others visible in the background of the transmission. Bold words from a primitive species. Very well, Commander. If your people choose resistance, we will make an example of your colony. Perhaps the rest of your kind will learn wisdom from your destruction. The transmission cut abruptly. Elena turned to her senior staff, their faces a mixture of fear and determination. They bought it, she said quietly. They believe exactly what we wanted them to believe, that we're outmatched and desperate. Colonial Defense Director Chen pulled up a holographic display showing the colony's true defense capabilities. The arrogance of conquerors, always the same mistake. Contact Earth Command, Elena ordered. Tell them First Contact Protocol Epsilon is now in effect. Then activate all Phantom platforms and bring the Cerberus array online. The Cerberus weapons aren't fully tested, warned Chief Engineer Lombardi. We could lose half the system if the gravitational containment fails. Better that than losing the colony, Elena replied. And alert all civilian centers. Initiate evacuation to the subterranean shelters. If these Sarkonians want to see humanity at war, we'll give them a demonstration they won't forget. As her orders were carried out, Elena returned her gaze to the viewport. The Sarkonian ships were now visible as distant points of light against the blackness of space. They had no idea what awaited them. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, developing technologies specifically designed to remain undetectable to advanced civilizations. Commander, Raj called out, we're detecting energy buildups in the Sarkonian fleet. They're deploying smaller craft. It appears they're not waiting 6 days after all. Elena nodded grimly. Typical. Make threats, then strike early hoping to catch us unprepared. She turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Rivera, prepare defensive pattern Thermopyla. Let the first wave through our outer perimeter before engaging. You want to let them get closer? Rivera asked, surprised. I want them committed, Elena replied. When we reveal our true capabilities, I don't want any of them escaping to warn their empire. The command center hummed with activity as Novaterra prepared for humanity's first interstellar war. Screens displayed the advancing Sarkonian fighters, sleek vessels moving with precise formation toward what they believed was an almost defenseless colony. All civilian centers report evacuation progress at 68% and climbing, reported Communications Officer Dias. Estimated 90 minutes to complete. They won't have 90 minutes, Elena said quietly. Phantom fleet to ready positions. Prepare to deploy on my mark. The Sarkonian fighters entered Novaterra's upper atmosphere, weapons charged. They encountered no resistance. Exactly as planned. Multiple weapons locks detected, Raj reported. They're targeting our visible defense platforms and major infrastructure nodes. Let them fire first, Elena ordered. I want this recorded for history. Humanity didn't start this war. Seconds later, energy beams lanced from the Sarkonian craft, striking the orbital defense platforms. Explosions bloomed in silence against the backdrop of space. Platforms 3 through 7 destroyed, Rivera reported calmly. Atmospheric fighters launching from bases Gamma and Delta. Right on schedule, Elena nodded. Our desperate last defense. The human fighters rose to meet the alien craft, clearly outmatched in both technology and numbers. It was a sacrifice play, one that Alina hated but knew was necessary. The pilots were among Novaterra's best, flying remotely from deep bunkers. Sarkonian flagship is broadcasting, Diaz announced. They're demanding immediate surrender. Ignore it, Alina commanded. Status of Phantom deployment. All units in position, Chin confirmed. Awaiting your order. Alina watched as the Sarkonian fighters systematically destroyed the human defensive screen. It was time. All units, this is Commander Vega, she spoke clearly. Execute Operation Lazarus. Authorization code, Phoenix Rising. Throughout the Novaterran system, space itself seemed to ripple as hundreds of stealth platforms and vessels simultaneously deactivated their quantum camouflage. The Phantom fleet appeared as if from nowhere, surrounding the Sarkonian forces in a three-dimensional net. Target all enemy craft, Alina ordered. Weapons free. The first salvos from the Phantom fleet struck the unprepared Sarkonian fighters with devastating precision. Advanced mass drivers, plasma torpedoes, and directed energy weapons, technologies the aliens had believed humanity didn't possess, tore through their formations. On the command deck of the Sarkonian flagship, High Commander Krav-Zur stared in disbelief at the tactical display, showing hundreds of human warships that had appeared from nowhere. Impossible, he hissed. Where did they come from? How did they hide from our scans? His tactical officer had no answer as the display showed Sarkonian fighters being destroyed by the dozen. The main view screen activated, showing Commander Vega's face. Unlike before, she wasn't smiling now. High Commander, she said, you wanted war. Now you face the consequences of your arrogance. The Sarkonian Empire has never encountered humanity before, so let me explain something clearly. We don't make threats. We make promises. Krav-Zur's scales darkened with rage. This deception changes nothing. Your colony will still fall. The Empire. Your invasion force is being systematically destroyed as we speak, Alina interrupted. You have one chance, Commander. Withdraw your remaining forces and never return to human space. Otherwise, none of your ships will leave this system. You think you've won. Krav-Zur snarled. This was merely an advance force. When the Empire learns of your resistance, they will send a fleet that will darken your skies. Alina's expression remained unchanged. I'm counting on it. The transmission ended, leaving Krav-Zur staring at his increasingly desperate tactical situation. His fighters were being annihilated by weapons that shouldn't exist. Humans were supposed to be a primitive, barely space-faring species. How could they possess technology that rivaled or even exceeded the Empire's? All cruisers, target the human orbital station, he commanded. Destroy their command center. 6 massive Sarkonian warships aligned their primary weapons, firing simultaneously at the Novaterran command station. The energy beams converged, and then inexplicably curved away, dispersing harmlessly into space. Gravitational deflection shields, his science officer reported in shock. They're bending space around their key installations. For the first time in his long military career, Krav-Zur felt something he had never experienced before. Fear, not of defeat. The Empire had suffered setbacks before, but of something worse. The fear that the Sarkonian Empire had finally encountered a species that could not only resist them, but potentially threaten their dominance of the galaxy. As the battle raged, Alina Vega issued her final order of the day. Activate the Cerberus array. Target the Sarkonian flagship. Let's give the High Commander a demonstration of what humanity is truly capable of. Deep beneath Novaterra's surface, a weapon of last resort powered up. A technology Earth had developed but never deployed, based on principles of quantum entanglement and gravitational manipulation. A weapon that could potentially alter the course of interstellar politics forever. The message was clear. Humanity would not be conquered. And any civilization that tried would learn a harsh lesson about underestimating the descendants of Earth. The weight of stars. The Cerberus array activated with a subtle ripple that belied its devastating power. From 6 points around Novaterra, invisible gravitational tethers reached out, connecting to the Sarkonian flagship in a complex web of warped spacetime. On the bridge of his vessel, High Commander Kravzur felt the first effects as subtle vibrations through the deck plates. Warning alarms blared as his officers frantically worked their stations. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Unknown weapon deployment," his science officer responded, voice rising with panic. "They're somehow manipulating our local gravitational field. Hull integrity compromised on decks 12 through 17. The massive ship groaned as opposing gravitational forces pulled at its structure. Metal twisted and bulkheads buckled under pressures they were never designed to withstand. "Impossible," Kravzur whispered. "No species at their development stage should possess this technology." In Novaterra's command center, Engineer Lombardi monitored the Cerberus array's power consumption with growing concern. "Commander, we're approaching critical threshold. If we maintain this output for more than 60 seconds, we risk a cascading failure." Elena nodded. "This isn't about destroying them, just making a point. Prepare to deactivate on my mark." She watched the tactical display, showing the Sarkonian flagship's structural integrity failing. 3, 2, 1. Disengage. The gravitational tethers released, leaving the Sarkonian vessel crippled but intact. Atmosphere vented from multiple hull breaches, and secondary explosions rippled along its port section. "Open communication channel," Elena ordered. Kravzur's face appeared on screen, his scales pale with shock and fury. Behind him, officers worked frantically to contain the damage to their ship. "That was a demonstration, High Commander," Elena said evenly. "The Cerberus array is one of our lesser defensive systems. You have seen what we can do with minimal effort. Consider carefully what might happen if we truly committed to your destruction." The alien commander's 4 eyes narrowed. "You could have destroyed us." "Yes," Elena acknowledged. "But unlike the Sarkonian Empire, we don't destroy what we can negotiate with. I offer you one final chance to withdraw. Return to your empire with the knowledge that human space is not to be violated." Kravzur was silent for a long moment, calculations clearly running behind his alien eyes. Finally, he spoke, his voice lower and stripped of its previous arrogance. "This withdrawal would be temporary. The Empire does not forget challenges." "Neither does humanity," Elena replied. "But we're willing to establish boundaries rather than pursue annihilation. The choice is yours. Leave now with most of your fleet intact, or continue this battle to your inevitable destruction." Without responding, Kravzur terminated the transmission. The command center fell silent as all eyes turned to the tactical display, watching the remaining Sarkonian vessels. "They're powering up FTL drives," Raj reported after tense minutes of waiting. "The surviving ships are aligning for departure." A cheer went up across the command center, quickly silenced by Elena's raised hand. "This isn't a victory," she said gravely. "It's the beginning of something much larger." "Director Chen, status of our defenses." Chen's expression was grim. "We revealed approximately 60% of our Phantom fleet. The Cerberus array's existence is now known to an alien power. Our technological advantages have been compromised." "And casualties?" Elena asked. 23 pilots lost with our decoy fighters. Civilian casualties minimal thanks to the shelter protocol, mostly injuries during evacuation. Infrastructure damage to exterior colonies in sectors 4 and 7. Elena nodded solemnly. "The first human casualties of interstellar war. They won't be the last." She turned to Communications Officer Dias. "Prepare a full report for Earth Command. Include all battle telemetry and first contact protocols. Request immediate reinforcement of the Novaterran system." "You think they'll return with a larger force?" Lombardi asked. "Without question," Elena replied. "And next time, they'll be prepared for our technology. The element of surprise is gone." As the command staff dispersed to their duties, Elena remained at the viewport, watching the Sarkonian vessels disappear into faster-than-light travel. Humanity had survived its first encounter with a hostile alien civilization, but at what cost? They had revealed technologies meant to remain secret, technologies developed over decades specifically as safeguards against advanced threats. Commander, Raj approached cautiously. Earth Command is responding. They're activating the Armada Protocol. Elena inhaled sharply. The Armada Protocol. Humanity's contingency for full-scale interstellar conflict. Not just a defensive posture, but the mobilization of Earth's complete military-industrial capacity toward war footing. So we're really doing this, she murmured, more to herself than to Raj. Was there another option? He asked quietly. Elena considered his question seriously. Maybe. Submission. Surrender. Becoming just another conquered species in the Sarkonian collection. She shook her head. But that's never been humanity's way. 12 hours later, Novaterra had transformed. Defensive platforms were being repaired. Civilian centers were resuming normal operations, and the planet's manufacturing facilities had shifted to military production. Elena, having finally taken a moment to rest, found herself in the station's observation lounge with Director Chen. The Phantom Fleet is returning to stealth configuration, he reported. When the Sarkonians return, they won't find the same targets they're expecting. And the Cerberus array. Being reconfigured, we're dispersing the emitters to make them harder to target. Next time, they won't get off so lightly. Elena nodded, sipping from a cup of bitter coffee. What do your tactical simulations predict? Chen's expression darkened. Best case, the Sarkonians decide we're too much trouble and leave us alone. Worst case, they return with a fleet large enough to overwhelm even our hidden defenses. And the most likely scenario, they probe our defenses, test our resolve, try to find weaknesses before committing to full-scale war. Chen paused. We need to learn more about them. Their culture, hierarchy, weaknesses. Fighting an enemy we don't understand is a losing proposition. Elena set down her cup. Then we don't wait for them to come to us. At Chen's surprised look, she continued, we need intelligence. We need to know what we're facing. You're suggesting infiltration of an alien empire. I'm suggesting reconnaissance. Limited, targeted, and deniable. Elena stood, moving to the viewport. Humanity has always adapted. It's what we do best. The Sarkonians think in terms of overwhelming force. We need to think differently. 3 days later, as Novaterra continued its preparations for the coming storm, an unscheduled meeting convened in the secure conference room of the command station. Elena stood before a select group of officers and specialists. Operation Shadow Step, she began without preamble. A covert mission to infiltrate Sarkonian space, gather intelligence on their military capabilities, and identify potential weaknesses. I need volunteers. Captain Myarias, one of Novaterra's most decorated special operations officers, was the first to step forward. My team is ready, Commander. This is beyond dangerous, Elena warned. We know almost nothing about Sarkonian territory. If you're captured, Earth will deny any knowledge of your mission. With respect, Commander, Rise replied. This is what we trained for. First contact scenarios, hostile alien environments. The simulations weren't just theoretical exercises. One by one, others volunteered. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, Sino-linguistics specialist. Dr. Navarro, Sino-biology and environmental adaptation. Chief Warrant Officer Kido, infiltration technology. 6 of us, Rise concluded. Small enough to avoid detection, diverse enough in skills to adapt to whatever we find. Elena studied them carefully. You'll depart in 48 hours aboard the Wraith. It's our most advanced stealth vessel, designed specifically for deep reconnaissance. Your primary objective is intelligence gathering. Avoid contact with the Sarkonians if possible. And if not possible, Rise asked. Use your judgment, Elena replied grimly. But remember, this isn't an assassination mission or a terrorist operation. We're better than that. We fight when necessary, but we don't become monsters in the process. As the meeting concluded, Reyes remained behind. "Commander, permission to speak freely?" Elena nodded. "We both know this is the beginning of something that could consume humanity for generations. War with an interstellar empire. There's no precedent for this." "There's no precedent for most of human history, Captain," Elena responded. "The first ocean voyage, the first flight, the first step on Luna. We've always moved forward into the unknown. But this time, the unknown is moving toward us as well," Reyes observed. "All the more reason to face it head-on." Elena placed a hand on the captain's shoulder. "Your mission may determine whether this becomes a prolonged conflict or if we can find another path." As Operation Shadow Step prepared for departure, Elena received an unexpected communication from Earth Command. Admiral Helena Zhao, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, appeared on her private terminal. "Commander Vega," the Admiral began without greeting, "your handling of the Sarkonian incursion was unorthodox." Elena straightened. "The situation demanded immediate action, Admiral." "Indeed." A hint of a smile touched Zhao's normally stern features. "In fact, you've accomplished something decades of strategic planning couldn't anticipate. You've given humanity its first real glimpse of the challenges we face among the stars." "Admiral, the Sarkonian Empire isn't the first advanced civilization we've detected, Commander, just the first to detect us in return. Earth Command has been monitoring several interstellar powers for years. We've been careful to remain hidden, developing our technology in silence." Elena processed this revelation carefully. "You knew we weren't alone." "We suspected. Now we know." Zhao leaned forward. "Operation Shadow Step has been approved at the highest levels, but its scope has been expanded. Your team isn't just gathering intelligence on the Sarkonians. They're looking for potential allies." "Allies?" "Among other alien civilizations. The galaxy is more complex than empire versus colony," Zhao explained. "Our long-range intelligence suggests the Sarkonians have enemies, rivals, perhaps even subjugated species that might welcome an alliance against their oppressors." Elena considered the implications. "This changes everything." "It changes the scale, not the principles," Zhao corrected. "Humanity still stands for self-determination, for resistance against tyranny. If other species share these values, we may not stand alone." 2 days later, Elena watched from the command center as the Wraith departed Nova Terra, its advanced stealth systems rendering it invisible to all but the most specialized tracking equipment. Captain Reyes and her team carried humanity's future with them, not just as warriors or spies, but as potential diplomats to an interstellar community humanity was only beginning to comprehend. "Wraith has cleared the system," Raj reported. "They're initiating FTL jump to the coordinates extracted from the Sarkonian navigation data." "Godspeed," Elena whispered. As Nova Terra continued preparations for the conflict that seemed inevitable, Elena found herself returning to the observation deck, gazing at the stars with new perspective. Each point of light potentially represented not just scientific curiosity, but existential questions about humanity's place in a universe populated by older, more established civilizations. The Sarkonian Empire had awakened humanity to a harsh reality. The galaxy was not a peaceful frontier awaiting exploration, but a complex political landscape where survival would require all of humanity's ingenuity, courage, and determination. The coming days would determine whether humans would be remembered as just another conquered species or as the civilization that changed the course of galactic history. What had begun as a simple defense of a colony was transforming into something far greater, humanity's introduction to the galactic stage. And if the Sarkonians thought humanity would play a minor role in that grand theater, they were about to learn a painful lesson in human defiance. The war had only just begun, but already it was evolving into something neither side had anticipated. For the first time in its long history of conquest, the Sarkonian Empire faced an enemy that didn't just fight back, but one that might change the very nature of interstellar politics forever.